I worked for a toxic company, and here's why I think you shouldn't. This is my story. I think I've spoken about, how much I hated my job before my big move, but I've never really shared what actually happened in the 3 years that I was working in this company. I am going to talk about some of the things that happened, and obviously, when I share that, that's going to highlight for you why you shouldn't ever choose to stay for a longer period of time. This is not me saying that when you see the first red flag, then you should leave. I'm not saying that because I do have an understanding that we are not all in a position where you can just quit your job at any time. I understand that. I was actually also in that position when it happened to me. There was a point where I had big girl bills and a lot of things that needed me to earn the money from said company so that I'd be able to like pay for those stuff. So obviously it wasn't easy. So I ended up staying, and I stayed for like 3 years. Also, like there's an opportunity to make so much money in this company. So much money, and once you taste it, it's very hard to kind of like let it go. I spoke to a friend in the AMs today, and we kind of spoke about the aftermath of working at said company and everything that happened basically. And I just decided that I was going to make this video for you. So welcome. Grab a drink. You definitely need to sit down for this. Let's get right into it. So now, before I talk about everything that ever happened to me in that company, I obviously need to give you a bit of context, a little bit of background. This was a call center job, and it was commission based. So most of like at first it was 100% commission. Then I think after I was there for like a year, they changed. But I don't even know how to explain this, because what I will say, ne, these people really did think that we were stupid to some extent. They thought we were stupid for the most part. They would create rules and like policies, and you're just like, wait, what do you mean? For example, as I was talking about the commission thing, there was a point where they were like, okay, we're gonna give you a portion of your commission, and in your like pay slip, ne, it was going to be, named as your like basic salary, but they still took it from your commission. Like, there's just a lot to talk about. I'll talk to you about it in a few minutes. Give me a second before I lose my train of thought. As I was saying, it was a call center job. It was commission based. So every single penny that you took home, you had to fight for it. Now, I'm not going to talk about what we did or like what the company is about, because I want to be messy, ne? Hear me out. I want to be messy. I would love to be messy, but I also just don't want to like get into trouble. I don't want to get into trouble for like stupid things. But if you know, it was in Santon, and it was a call center job. If you are a woman and you've been hired in that company, you probably know, ne? You probably know what I'm talking about. Also, please, if you know the place, please don't write it in the comment section. Like, just keep it to yourself, keep it within your heart. We'll both know together what we're talking about. But if you know, you know. And I don't know, feel free to comment, I know. Then we'll know that we both know. That's just what I wanted to put out there so that you would, I don't know, kind of like understand, because I wouldn't want to share everything and then you're just like, but wait, what was the job? What was your work, And we all know that call centers are a very high stressful environment, because you are chasing targets, chasing the commission, because if you don't work hard enough, then you are not going to see the money in your bank, okay? If the video is too long, I'm definitely going to divide it into 2 parts, so don't be alarmed. If it gets cut off at some point, you're just going to have to wait for the second part, okay? Let's talk about how I got the job. Sometimes I feel bad for hating on this job so much because I got this job at the darkest time in my life where I literally had no one in my corner and I needed a job to be able to take care of myself. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times that it's unfortunate that I am an orphan. I don't have parents. Also, I'm an orphan with no siblings. Do you know how crazy that is? I don't even have the right words for it. And it's also very, very lonely. I applied, got called in for an interview. And I remember I know that all countries have like scammers and all of that, but back at home we have this thing of, if you want to make sure that you're not going to get trafficked and it's a legit company, you're going to have to go and check reviews and stuff like that. So I remember I had checked reviews and a lot of people were like, this is a shit company and you shouldn't work there. It's not worth it. They spoke about management. They spoke about a lot of things which are true, but let me cook. So I saw that. I went in for my interview and we spoke about whatever it is that we spoke about. Then at the end of the interview, the lady that was interviewing me, she was like, so do you have any questions for me? And I was like, off the record, ne? Off the record, let's talk. I've seen stuff, we all see stuff. Do you think this job is worth it? What she said to me changed my life, first of all, and I think this should be something that you take away from the video. She said to me, this is a very stressful environment, okay? And a lot of things happen here. Your job is to try, work, do whatever it is that you do, get your money, go home. Then she said to me, now you need to understand that you can't give up something before you've tried it. That's what she led with. She was like, you can't give up something before you've tried it. Try it. If it's not for you, then great, then you can leave. But don't write the opportunity off just because of what you've seen online in the reviews. And that actually ended up being the sole reason, not the sole reason why I was there for like 3 years. Obviously, it was the money. So she was like, Ikona imali lana, there's so much money to be made here. If you want the money and if you work hard enough, you're going to make the money. But you have to give this a fair chance. Like everything else in life, you just have to give it a fair chance. Figure out if it works for you. If it doesn't, then that's fine. But if it does, then it's for you. This kind of job is not for everyone, but it works for some people and that might be you. So try it out. And guess what? Was it the following day or was it like later that day? I was given the job. When I got the job, it was the week before we were locked down because of COVID. That's just like the mini backstory of how I got the job. Then we went in May and I trained and I started working. Now, let's talk about the policies that I've spoken about in another video. You can shit on the company all you want, but the company truly is not at fault because it's the management. It's the people that are in like superior positions in the company, within the company. Oh my goodness. If only I could tell you about those people. I don't hate them, but wow. Obviously, I worked my way to the very top. You start at like the primary department of like the company where everyone starts. Everyone starts there unless you are and you have connections within the company. Some of them would come in like a different department, or come in as like a manager or something like that. I'm just gonna randomly talk about like from the top of my head of like random things. So my first year, I was obviously at like the beginning level of like dialing and the department. The management in that department wasn't the best, especially the senior manager in that department was the worst. The things that I've heard that woman say to other people were just flabbergasting, because what do you mean you are using profanities like in a meeting? Because we would sporadically, if they're not. Also, that's another thing that I didn't like about them. I hate how call centers, if you are in a higher position in a call center, please stop blaming the outcome on the people who are working at the phones. We are not stupid. If I'm telling you that people are not answering their phones today, they're not answering their phones. Like, what am I supposed to do? Especially if you're the one who's giving me the information, the numbers that I'm supposed to be calling, right? So I really hated that whenever you were having a bad day, it was now your fault. Like, why is it your fault if you are having a bad day? If people are not answering calls, how is it your fault? We were threatened a lot. And if you had like a quick mouth, they would find a way to get rid of you. Everything is literally at the top of my head. I wish I had a way to chronologically paint a picture and like create a story out of this so that you would see how bad it was. I really commend the people who would just leave. Some people would be like, actually, fuck this, I'm not interested, and they would leave. One thing that you need to note is that at the very, very like level 1 department that you start at, there was only people like us that worked in that department almost always. If you are, then you are going to start at like a higher level, or you are going to go straight into like a very prestigious position. I'm going to talk about something that happened to me within my first year. When I went into the company, I went in as a student. Everyone at this point has leave days. So I spent most of my leave days on school. I didn't know anything. Remember that this is like, you could say this is my first big girl job, because before that I had only been doing like retail. I've been doing like promotions, fast food, restaurants. So there's no leave. So when you were like permanent in the company, now you get entitled to leave days and all of that. And I used them on school. Come year end, I learned that there's a company shutdown. We all get emails that companies are shutting down. You have to have 5 days. Oh, they started with guys, 2020, I was a menace. They led with an email that said, hey, please tell us when you would like to take leave and when you are thinking of like coming back to work, in the new year. And because I'm young, dumb, and broke, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna take, I don't remember the days, because the thing is, my birthday is on the second week of Jan. So it's a very awkward time for me if I'm like working at like a 9 to 5, because I obviously need to take the last week off, like the shutdown, and then maybe take the first 2 weeks. Because one thing about me, this is one thing that I never compromised on. On my birthday week, whether I have leave days or not, I am going to take leave. And if you don't agree with that, then that's your problem. You have to deal with it. That's one thing that I never compromised on. I would side eye people who would be working on their birthdays, because what do you mean you are working on your birthday? I had wanted to take the week off for my birthday. So I remember I got the email, I'm like, okay, here's what's going on right now. I want these days and these days. I was told that I don't have enough leave days, right? Then me being me, guys, I don't like stressing about things that are not important in life. I don't have leave days, fine. Give me unpaid leave. I don't care. So I said that. I was like, oh no, it's fine. Just put it on my unpaid leave. They were like, excuse me, what? They were like, no, that's not how it works. And now they were very big on like gaslighting people. And as I said, if you are, they automatically thought that you were dumb. You didn't use your brain. When I remember, because it's a group setting when you like work in a call center, you know that you sit in like groups. And I remember I had spoken about this and everyone was just like, Uyahlanya, are you okay? And I was like, let me tell you, I'm gonna do this whether they like it or not. So I think I was trying a different department out when all of this happened. I was offered to try out a new department. So whenever you would go to like a new department or like a new position, there was a potential for you to like make more money, because remember, it's a commission based pay. Got called into an office and I was told that you can't take unpaid leave. First of all, I was told via email that you can't take unpaid leave. And I was like, it's unfortunate. I'm going to take unpaid leave because I'm going back to the Bundus. I'm going to KZN. There's a family ceremony and I'm going to go there whether you like it or not. Guess what? They were like, can't you move the ceremony, traditional ceremony, move it to a later date? I was like, angzwanga. They were like, can't you move it to a later date? Let's just say someone at home is getting married, ne? And you have to attend the wedding, right? You tell them you want to take leave. They're like, you don't have enough leave days. You're just like, it's fine. Charge it to my unpaid leave. It's okay. They still say no. Then you are asked to go into the interrogation room. Then they tell you, can't you move the wedding to a later date? You'd obviously, the same thing that I thought. You would obviously think the same thing. That's like, are you okay? Uyahlanya. So that's exactly what they asked. They were like, can't you move the ceremony to a later date? And I was like, obviously no. Why? Did they say they needed proof or did I offer? But then they started just naming all of the things that, I don't know, that need to be paid for on my behalf because I'm not working. Like the overheads, obviously, for the business. They're like electricity and the water that you've been using, the power. We would have to cover that for that week. Another thing, this is a very, very bad trait. I'm a very good listener, but if you talk shit, I zone out. So I sometimes when I see that, okay, so ang petela manch, I just look at you and my mind just flies away and I'm gone, So I remember they said what they said, but I wasn't listening anymore because I was like, nyang tagela nina, And then we spoke about the affidavit. I was like, I can supply you with proof if that's what you want. And I went and I got the proof and I went and I had fun my leave. Before I came back, I got COVID before I returned to work in Jan. And I don't remember who I was dealing with at that point was nice enough to overwrite the unpaid leave to say it was sick leave instead, So I eventually got paid for it because I'm smart and the universe conspires to work for me. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Then I remember when I came back, the manager that was like, hey, can't you move the wedding? She fired me from the department. She was like, thank you very much for your assistance, for your time. Go back to the old department. And now if you know, it's because you're pissed. Also, that's what I hated, like with them. If you are beefing with someone or if you get into it with someone, they're going to use their positions of power against you. So that's what she did. I was released from the department and I had to go back to my department because obviously the madam was mad at me. That's why also people would just not say a lot when it came to other like matters, or if there's something that's happening that you don't like, you can't really speak up because someone is going to use their position of power against you, right? And it was just mainly these people. Oh, the black people in managerial positions. I don't even want to talk about that. If you want to see how vile a black person can be to another black person, a black woman at that, to another black woman, put her in a managerial position. You will see. Make her manager. You will see. Put her in a position of power. You will see. Some things that would happen to me. You would see that it's direct. I don't want to, is it discrimination? But it was directly at me because the same person who's would go through the same thing and everything would be fine for them. And then I'd just be like, but what about me? I remember at some point, a W girl came into the company, interviewed, she was hired. She sat with us at the area where the level 1 department was, right? And she was also in school and she got to work for half day, right? And it got to a point where some of the people that I would like chill with, they were like, but you're also in school, so why are you not allowed to go home early, Because she'd literally be like, I'm at school, I have class or I have an exam. She would do whatever it is that she has to do and she would leave. So a lot of people would be confused. Why is homegirl getting special treatments? Like, why are you not treated the same? Because you're literally the same person. Now, what was different with her, I think she was working like in a different like department with their sister company or something like that. So I didn't want to think about it too much because obviously if you're getting a half day, especially if you are black like me, then you're not going to get the money that you get if you're working there full time. So I was just like, I don't care. Like, I really don't. But it did raise eyebrows in the company. That's why, because you guys are literally in the same position. Why were you not afforded the opportunity to be part-time? Because that's another thing. What they do online when they advertise the positions, they do say that this is a full-time position. There's no part-time position in the company. Then shows up a W person that is going to work and leave whenever they want to leave.